welcome to Unlatched Mind. My guest today is Geebz. Yep, his name's Geebz. I found Geebz online. Geebz has started a YouTube channel called the Key of Geebz. It's a music react channel on YouTube, and so this is a little bit of a different episode for me. I'm a musician. I play drums. It's one of my passions, for sure. I don't talk about it much on the podcast at all, but in this case, I just found Geebz online and really enjoyed his content, and I just said, I'd really like to talk to this guy. He seems so genuine, and and I feel we have some, certainly have some mutual interest in music, and I think our general outlook on life is very similar as well. So we talk about his YouTube channel, how it's blowing up, his the work he does with kids, with sick kids. We talk about our mutual passion for music, as musicians. We talk about him meeting Eddie Van Halen, his life as a composer and an engineer, and he's just simply a great human. He really is. I genuinely enjoyed the conversation. So anyway, let's just jump in. With that, I give you Geebz.
You are.
Geebz, dude, thanks for joining me, man. This is an honor.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really surprised that you would.
No, it's well, I don't know if you looked up, any of my stuff, but this is definitely a different podcast for me. This is a different, this is more of a passion one, just because, my current podcast I started, back in March, April of 2 years ago. Yeah, so 19, and It was mostly in the, I'm an intellectually curious person, and I guess it's all about. I find a lot of professors and doctors of psychology, and just I analyze. I like just interrogating why people think certain ways and how society works and all that kind of stuff.
Interrogate.
Yeah. But interrogate, they dig deep into find out what how people think and all that. But I'm also a musician, so I've never just talked about, and that's a giant passion of mine. And I'd say since kids, it's kind of gone hey, it's been put on the back burner, but it's still there. That's an absolute passion of mine. Anyway, so I love React videos. Because I feel like when you're watching a React video, it's like there's a camaraderie there with somebody. It's like I love watching videos of music of musicians that give me goosebumps with my friends next to me that are also musicians, because we'll say, "Do you see what he just did with his fingers? Or how did that drummer? He's playing 4/4 with his feet, but it's 7/8 with his hands." And it's like, anyway, so React videos are kind of like that when you don't have your buddies with you, right? So. Anyway, long story short,
No, I did check out your channel, and I looked, and I did find myself as the oddball out for subject matter. But now that you tied it in with the music thing, now I know where the throughput is, and actually some of the things that you have done that have to do with human behavior and any of the psychological stuff. Music is an odd antidote or a through line actually through some of those. Sure. It's part of what makes us
and
music. So.
You could tell the way you kind of break down some of the things and how you react. Like, you got a deep side too. You definitely do. And I noticed that. I'm like, he's gonna have a great. We'll have a great conversation. So that's why I wanted to hit you up. And it's funny because a buddy of mine who's really into React videos, and he loves music. He's passionate about music. He was over the house. This was a few months ago. He's like, "Hey, I heard you like React videos. Have you heard of Geebz?" I'm like, "What?" And I literally had my TV on, and I'm like pointing. I'm like, I think I turned it on. I don't remember, but I'm like, when I'm like doing dishes, I literally have you up. I'm like, yes, these my. So I think at the time you had like 30,000 subscribers and up to almost 100. Did I see that right?
Dude, perfect timing. Today I broke 100,000. 100,000. I just, my stepdaughter, texted me. I woke up this morning a little later than normal, knowing that I was hovering. And it's never been about the numbers, but I started off my very first, Reacts video. I started off in November, I think 27th, and that was the Dare. And I had, I think, 1,800 people on that channel for various odd reasons. And so I went from 1,800 to today, 100,000 in 3 months, and wow, it's completely, it's a trip. It's a chicken skin moment. My saying? It's a chicken
goosebumps,
skin
everybody.
Moment.
He means goosebumps. It's got a lot of weird Hawaiian terms that you'll hear. So I'll
I got
translate.
all kinds of stuff I say.
Well, that kind of gets to one of my first questions was why did you start the channel? How did it come about?
Kind of a funny thing. I had seen React's videos pop up on my browser while I was doing guitar. You know, I love to take a couple hours a day. I pick up my guitar and turn on YouTube and watch other great musicians and learn riffs and or just play the backing tracks just to chill in my space. And these things popped up, so I was a little familiar with the React's videos, and but had no desire or really cared or even didn't nothing about it fit into what I was going to do. But what happened is one day my grandkids they asked me to edit together for them a little, they're going to make pancakes, and they're from 2 years old to 8 years old, so this was really cute. And I put together a little video, and then around Thanksgiving they told me that they watched some guy, our youngest grandson watches some guy on YouTube, and he does things, but he also reacts to things. So I was like, that's kind of funny, that's kind of good. Well, my oldest granddaughter at 9 years old just kind of said, Abba. Abba is short for abuelo, so grandfather. So they couldn't say that.
Gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
Abba. You should do this with the music. You should do this with your music. I go, huh? And then my one of my daughters at the time had said, yeah, Reacts videos. These are the things, that I went, all right, this will be fun. I got nothing else to do. It's Corona time. So I decided to look for a Reacts video to do, and then the Tool Sober popped up on a lot of people's Reacts. I'm like going, oh, okay, well, let me just try this. I mean, remember, I'm not thinking anything's going to happen. So I set up, it's a big difference from the first ones, the one I did now, because the first one, I just set up my phone, and then playback came over my speakers. It wasn't as clean as it is now. And I did the Sober video, and I went to bed. And next morning I woke up, I had like 7,000 new subscriptions, a couple hundred comments and stuff on the way I broke it down, coming just, okay, well, here's what I hear as a composer. And that's how it started. And there was probably about a 3-day period before I said, maybe I'll do one more. Decided to stay with the Tool Army thingy. And I mean, I was familiar with the band Tool through my earlier career, but I wasn't in the record business as a composer, in the media business, so I wasn't familiar, and I hated radio, so I didn't know what was number one, number two, or anything. And then occasionally I'd go by MTV or something if I was in a business or something, and they're playing it in the background. So once I did that, I did another Tool video, and then here I am now. I think I've done 90 videos. It's just really fun for me.
Yeah, you're doing like 2 and 3 days now. Sometimes, I mean,
yeah, I'm doing that for a reason, because I'm going to have to slow down soon, and it's only because I have now to step into some other things I do for the nonprofit work. So these last couple months, and also it's been really slow for me. All production has stopped. The 2 movies I was supposed to do this year all got postponed. Independent features, though, not big Hollywood things, but they got postponed, so now they're pushed out. By the time it gets through with post and I get the first, breakdown of what to do, it's not going to be until fall of this year. Okay. So, I was writing some jingles in between it here in Hawaii and stuff like that, and other places around the world. Writing jingles, that's kind of my shtick. But so I just decided, well, what am I doing? If the surf is too big, I'm not surfing. I'll do another one. I'll do another one.
Surf is too big. Sounds rough.
That's how come you see me pile them up a little bit.
Cool. That's very cool. Yeah, it's funny.
I just get excited. I get excited by the comments. Yeah. And the unilateral camaraderie of exactly what you said earlier.
Well,
all of a sudden people are responding, saying, "Oh man,
yeah,
the song, what it means to me," and some heartbreaking and heartwarming stories of what these songs have meant to a lot of people in the comments that I get. So it's like, wow, I get to be a part of people's lives arbitrarily just by me commenting on music in a way that I just do.
Yeah. No, I've seen some comments too that that people have commented on some of your videos, like, hey, this song meant a lot to me because my husband he and I went through this, or my spouse, and it's like it gets deep. But I think this is going to be a theme to this discussion. But you bring that out of people a little bit. You really do. It's like a safe space. I feel like people, I don't know.
and this is the deep side of me again, but it seems like when I watch you, it's kind of like there's a charisma there. There's a very just realness there. It's not, there's so many people on YouTube, and that's kind of getting to my other comments I had sent you. It's like, what do you think's different than your channel than, because it's blowing up for a reason, and I think it's only going to continue. There's something there, right? It's not, and there's a bajillion YouTubers out there, but they, and there's some amazing ones out there. Why, what do you think? I mean, you're probably not doing anything different intentionally. You're just probably being you, but what do you think's different? I mean,
I think you just answered it right there. Next question. No, I'm kidding.
Done.
I don't, I'm not synthesizing anything to get views and reactions and stuff. I did, there's a part of me that once I realized what I was doing and I'm in this,
You can swear.
Reacts gig now. And it's like, if you notice now, all the titles kind of read the same and I'm having a hard time with it because I never intended on that. But at the same token, just when it comes to that, where am I the same as all the other ones? It's the way things are titled. And then I realized, even though I didn't want to be necessarily part of an ending trend of what Reacts videos are, and what I mean by that is I think it's blown up and possibly hit its peak of attention with the YouTubers. There's a ton of blooper videos, a ton of Reacts videos, and very unique things. So, I still in the titles will put reacts and stuff, but I'm trying to kind of figure out a way to get away from that. But the one thing is, at least, and I'll circle back, and I realize I diverged a little bit, but I realize what YouTube is about, and since my channel is not monetized, I'm not driven by numbers, I'm not driven by money, even though all those ads run. I do understand that if I diverge from the Reacts titles and stuff that put my video in people's browsers and stuff, what really ends up might happening is that the people who will enjoy what I have to say won't get a chance to see me if I just go, Geebz reacting to, or not even Geebz, Geebz checking out, Led Zeppelin. It just doesn't feed into people's. So there's
a search engine optimization. Yeah. There's things that you get.
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah. But as far as the me thing, I think from what I've seen that's out there, because now I've done homework, there are guys that do things already that are theoretical. Yeah. And they have great personalities, and they will spend 15 hours on a song, and they listen to it 15 times, and they take notes. You can tell. I can tell as a composer that there's a little bit of background work being done before some of these guys do their work. You know, I mean, I can listen. I can listen at a first listen, and I can kind of tell with certainty, kind of uncertainty. That didn't fit, did it? Hey, what key is it in? What are the chord changes? Major, minor, that kind of stuff. What motifs, modes, I can get into that conversation, but I don't, I want to stay in a path of, I think what you may have hit on, which is being organic to the pure listener. That's what I call them. Yeah. They're the ones who don't know anything about playing an instrument, but they realize that music affects them a particular way. And so when I say what I say, though I do dance around theoretical every now and then, very lightly,
sprinkle it in,
about some meters, I'll talk. And I'll talk about, well, what is a measure? And, if these are quarter notes, then you can put many of these notes in here and then put spaces between it. And this is how they get this. I don't want to pull them too far away or demystify too much the experience. And by virtue of that, and also being a kind of a teacher, and I'm involved with kids, whether it's nonprofit or ukulele lessons, or community centers and stuff like that, I'm aware of the potential of overwhelming somebody with information, who's just a pure listener. So, and I have that. I have people on comments going, dude, you should go, more theoretical and stuff. Or I have some comments saying, you should change the title to Old Man Just Listening to Music, because you're not giving anything about composition out there. Obviously, they're not listening to the little segments.
Oh, there's going to be plenty of comments. Don't let those bother you. Yeah.
It happens. Nah, I got a thick skin. I'm an old guy. I'm like a little manatee. I just float around the water, go, hey, what's up? And so that being said, I think, how you partially answered the question. I'm just being
Yeah.
me, and but I'm excited. I'm excited to hear new music. So that's what's been great about the channel. Uh, I love metal. I am a metal guy.
See, that's what I was
And
always wondering.
that's
Like,
the core
yeah,
of who I am.
I was wondering how, like, that gets into, I think some of my other questions, but, I was wondering, like, how did you get into this genre? Was it, I hear old guy, old composer, I don't think metal guy, right? I mean,
Well, that's yeah.
but, you know, you never know. I don't know you from a hole in the wall, but well, I guess a little bit more than a hole in the wall now that we're talking, but,
It's all right.
the music you're into or that you react to that are on your predominantly on your channel checks all my boxes. It's technical metal.
Yeah.
It's in progressive. It's basically heavier stuff with the true musicianship behind it, which is personally my favorite genre. You know, I like stuff that's, you know, go back to old Rush, old Yes, Genesis, right, the prog, like the 25-minute songs that just take you. Like, you don't even know where the hell they took you. You know, I used to get the old, you know, the old
Right.
double
It
CDs.
took you from here. It
What's
just
that?
took you. Yeah. It just took
Yeah,
you from
yeah,
here.
yeah.
You know,
But it
just took
checks
you.
a bunch of boxes that I think your channel does, which is, and you had mentioned it on one of you mentioned it a lot actually, that you don't even know. And I've said this I made this comment to people. Or I thought about it. I thought it for years, where I don't know what it's like to listen to music or listen to a song without thinking, okay, the bass player's doing this, guitar's doing this, the drummer's like, is that a double pedal? Maybe it's really just a fast foot. I'm like, how's he? And I can't not see all that in my head. So, I have a certain way of, you know, and I think that influences how we love what moves us and what doesn't, right? But you also you check that box for people like me, because you kind of break that. Did you hear the way he, and you know, you get down into the weeds a little bit, but you also do the other side for non-musicians. In fact, you know, the people that I know that love your channel, most of them, none of them musicians except me. And they're just as, you know, they just enjoy your stuff just as much, because you kind of talk about how does it move you, and I felt this, and ooh, and you see your face, you get all excited, and it's like, yeah, he's loving this. He's freaking loving this, you know? So I don't know. You're going to have a lot of opinions. I say keep the ratio of analysis to emotion. Just let it be. Don't try to overanalyze. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And thank you for that. And hearing it, you know, from a musician, you're afflicted.
Yeah.
As I like to say, you know, and I say this in my videos as well. I say, you know, when I say, you know, the difference between the pure listener and the decomposer's ears is that you, myself, and other musicians, though we can enjoy a piece of music, we actually will move towards a piece of music because it is hitting us in a way in our cells, in our creative sector of our brain that makes us go, oh. And then we'll vacillate towards it, and then we'll listen to it, and then just get keenly focused in on the track, enjoy it, but start going, oh man, damn, that was a split meter, and then they resolved it on this, you know, and then we start getting a little nuts. Then you got to listen to it a couple times so you can kind of rinse with it. You know, you kind of sink in a little bit and go, oh, okay, and then try to enjoy it a little bit. I mean, I used to do that. I used to listen to tracks, and then all of a sudden, you know, it would take me probably a couple weeks of listening to a track before I could just actually sink into the song and stop thinking.
Overthinking. Yeah.
Like I've already spent my energy thinking. But to answer your question though about the whole rock and that whole thing. I am into technical composition. It's one of the reasons why I have a lot of friends in the record industry said that you'll never make it as a songwriter because, at least in the pop world, in the bigger aspect of record companies where, you know, there's one hit being popped out after another, you know, and I had really good relationships with major record companies all the way through the 90s. And, but I'd present a song, I'd say, hey, so-and-so, hey, check this out. And they go, man, that sounds great, but there's nothing we can do with it, man. I could maybe put that singer here on this, but it's not marketable. There's a lot of stuff happening, and that lot of stuff is the stuff that I enjoy about this channel. And it doesn't mean there isn't a market for it. I just was not really trying to be a songwriter or producer. I was a composer that had time in my studio, and I'd go, well, okay, let me try this, you know, and I put together something, and they'd go, yeah, you know, you can do this work, but for here you need to be. And that whole taking my spirit, my creative spirit, and putting it in a box because it has to be a certain way.
It's got to be marketable.
It has to be.
No. Is it?
It has to be in it to a minute to win.
I was going to say, is it more of a
marketing.
dumbed down 3-chord kind of thing? Got to have a catchy chorus, like is it that kind of thing where it really can't be that? you're not. There's no how many popular, like really, really popular 20-minute songs are there out there, right? Like that you'd hear on the radio. Right? No one has the patience. You break out Tales from Topographic Oceans from Yes, and I'm all in. Like the old, you know what I mean?
Right,
I'm all
exactly.
in, but I get that that's not going to be something that the average person driving to work is going to, oh, this is a 24-minute song. I'm all in on this. And let me just close my eyes and let it take me. I mean, that's not, I know that's not reality, but is it that kind of adjustment they wanted you to make to less?
The whole record industry machine was based on, you hire an act that you think is going to sell units, and then you have them do, radio edits or radio cuts, or the whole album is all, between 3:20 and 4:10, 3 minutes, 20 seconds, 4 minutes. For radio play, because you have to get X amount of songs in an hour.
Commercials and.
So that commercials can be positioned in certain places. And if all of a sudden you got a 5.5-minute song, it's not that it couldn't be done. Bye Bye Miss America Pie or Stairway to Heaven, once they realized that was the hit and the listeners came to the station and it helped boost the sales of advertisement, they figured out a way to make that work in rotation. But, the whole record industry thing, I don't want to go into that conversation because I've got a very heavy-handed opinion about that. But it was the machine, and it worked for a lot of people. But, the great thing about YouTube and everything is that it just released the kraken of creativity. These incredible musicians out there and long songs and people that can, decide to listen to a track for 7, 8, 12, 15 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes long if it's like musical theater, rock opera stuff, kind of Nightwish type stuff that have these long
Nightwish
produced pieces. But quickly just circle back, I found that prog rock and all the subgenres just played to my tastes as a composer, of my technical abilities as a composer, and so when I do a breakdown, first of all, the first time listen, it's really kind of difficult. I'm trying to figure out a new way to do some things on the videos. I think what I'm going to start doing is, because I miss something. I always miss something. It's like I'll render out my video and I go, damn, there's that beautiful part right there. I didn't even say anything about that. So I think what I'm going to start doing is I'll do my videos and I edit it together. And before I render it, I always listen to them all the way through just in case I have a hiccup or something's weird with the files. I think what I'll do is I'll start to just drop in a text card saying, hey, check out check out how the guitar does this here. Yeah. Instead of me saying it, you know what I'm saying? Because I miss it. And I hate to miss that stuff. So, but the whole prog rock, everything that I'm listening to, 95% of the stuff that I've listened to, of which most of them come from suggestions, appealed to my, this is sick, man. I love this. And, look how they did, or listen to the simplicity in this and why does it work? That kind of stuff. So that's my shtick.
and it's funny to hear. Like I'll have you on. Like I said, when I'm in the kitchen and cooking or whatever. My wife's like, and you'll be reviewing. It's true. A lot of it's true metal. There's that scream. There's the growl, and there's everything in between. And I always have this conversation with people about, that doesn't turn me off at all. Like that's just, I look at that as another instrument, and I look beyond that screaming. And I personally like the sound, but even if you don't like the sound, you can look beyond that. And I think you even mentioned it. A lot of these bands use that voice as an instrument. It's not this melodic thing on top of the music. It is one of, like I think you commented on Meshuggah, one of my favorites of all time. Well,
I got one coming up for you in the next 24 hours.
Okay, so Meshuggah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been saving this one video to celebrate the 100,000.
Okay.
So I'm gonna over this weekend I'm going to put out actually 3 in one day to celebrate that. I'm gonna put out a Tool, a Meshuggah, and the other one I'm still on the fence.
So you chose you chose a Meshuggah as your celebration 100K. That means okay. Respect. I like that.
Well, the reason why too is because when I first listen to these bands, I'm listening to one song.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many, suggestions I have. I have this one guy who's really cool. He responds a lot, and but he posts this comment list, literally 150, 200 songs, and sometimes to try to go and be and try to catch everybody's. His I don't necessarily go and save. I just, in the sense that I just wait for his list, and sometimes I'll go.
Yeah.
What's this? Okay, here we go.
Right.
But. A deeper appreciation for whether it's Radiohead to Meshuggah to all the harder bands. You kind of see the spectrum I go through. So, Snarky Puppy.
Yep.
And also what's the other guy's? Oh God, I forgot. Gosh, I hate getting old. Anyhow, you see, I have kind of a broad array of music in certain little areas, and I don't get to learn about these musicians or their bands and their music and stuff until I go into the second or third or fourth song of theirs and suggestion, and then I get really, I get personally involved going, and then do a little more homework. On it. And one of the things that really raised my like wow is when I did the very first Ginger video. I was not familiar with, I've heard of the growling. I was not familiar with it, and so I had said, I wonder if there's any post effect on our voice, but not because of the growling. I literally was wondering if there was a doubling going on or something for the post effect of mixing out and making that sound a little thicker. Well, needless to say, I did get a lot of comments going, dude, she's really growly. You got to, and which is great too. Everybody's been really kind with those comments, because I definitely don't put myself in a place of knowing everything. A matter of fact, I really truly know nothing, and that's why, in the sense of how I do my channel, is that I am not a person to come to for a particular kind of education like some other reactors that are professors in music theory and stuff like that. And, I'm a guy that, like you said earlier, you want to sit down and have a beer, a cup of coffee, a gummy bear, whatever your experience is, and say, okay, let's listen to this song. And then I just share more sonic experience with it. But the one thing that I really was blown away with the Ginger thing video I did is to start to realize the intense talent of these musicians.
Crazy.
And it wasn't because they're going fast. Is that, I mean, the technical aspect of going fast and staying in meter and tempo and in metronome as well. Yeah, that's a lot of woodshedding and time spent, John Petrucci style kind of stuff. But it's to hear that these metal bands in so many genres have such intensely talented musicians that you turn a switch and you find out, oh, geez, he played drums in this jazz, ensemble, or he played, bass on this, and you just sit there and go, you see, there's such a depth and talent out there that's not celebrated, and that's where I try to, and that's what keeps me involved in this genre. I never know what I'm going to get, Excuse me. So I'm intrigued by the technical aspect of it, and then of course, composition. And you listen to Porcupine Tree or Carnival or some of the other bands that are like going, wow, man, these guys are really flexing on their arrangements and really taking you through an ethereal journey. And, and they throw in the chug, but then all of a sudden they break into a passage of 2 minutes of really killer chord changes with really unique string arrangements or pad arrangements or stuff like that. So it's
now, have you spent any time going? I mean, have you gone to a lot of these shows ever? Have any of these bands you're reviewing, have you been to see live performances? Or
I have not been to a concert since 1992.
Did they come to Hawaii?
Well, no, no, they do. They'll come here. But I had a period in my life where I was in Hawaii early in the late 70s and early 80s. My mother lives here. She's still with us. And my parents got a divorce in the 70s. So mom came back here, and dad, lived out his life in North LA County. And I came here for a while as a kid because I just wanted to get baked and go surfing. Where else do you go? You go to Hawaii, right? And I just had something was missing. So I went back to Los Angeles, and within, a 10-year period, I traversed, producing, engineering, and all that sort of stuff, because I was brought up in I'm a third generation composer, so I was brought up in a studio, and music was around me my whole life. And my dad was very successful, and my uncle was very successful, and they just on and on and on. And so this was this thing that I had: guitars, pianos, drums, whatever it is that I wanted. The very first synthesizers came through in the mid 70s. My uncle had these things, and so I was around it. But as I went through, I came back here, or I came to Los Angeles. Within a 10-year period, I had done a whole massive work from engineering to composition and playing on people's projects and can't say anything. You know, here's your $200. Shut up.
That's right.
And then I ended up building a small studio in Studio City, California.
Okay, cool.
And more of a writing studio, not a public. You know, I was going, okay, wait, I can do all this. This is great. And I spent most of my time through the 90s in LA until I came back here in 2001. So in that period, there was a time where my brother was dear friends with Eddie Van Halen, because my brother's a pro golfer. And Eddie was, at one time, it was just one of those things where it was a shootout where you had 3 stars and a golf pro. And my brother ended up, you know, golfing with Tommy Lee, Eddie Van Halen. I forgot the other guy. No disrespect to him, but I just can't remember. And then they met. They became very close friends. And my studio was right across the street from the Studio City Golf Course, or Weddington, whatever it's called now. And my brother's still a teacher there. And he was teaching Eddie, and I was, you know, in awe of all that sort of thing. And then eventually he introduced me and stuff. And Eddie had a great personality. We, you know, it was away from music. It was golfing. It was having fun. And after, you know, about a year and a half and stuff, Eddie was very, hey, Geebz, how are you? Oh, hey, Eddie. I still wasn't really talkative. He's probably the only person in my professional career as a composer that I was like, hi, you know. I'd been around so many famous people.
He's a god. That's okay.
I was like, I'm like,
yeah.
Can you just like jump off the golf cart like you do with your legs like this or something? I mean, it's just, to me, I was still shell shocked, you know, but he was very, very super kind. And one day on my birthday, he came up to my place with my brother and gave me one of his guitars, and he signed it.
Cool.
And then he gifted me and my brother a limo ride to the Coliseum for that, you know, concert. And, you know, it was just a great experience,
awesome.
You know, backstage pass.
That's
and the
awesome.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm not in the record business. I'm in the media music industry. So the experience of concerts and that was really not something I was into. But that was the last concert I went to. It was with Sammy. What's the album that has the 2 twin kids with the wings?
That's not Balance. On the Seesaw?
But it was in the Sammy era.
Yeah, Balance was Sammy. It was OU 812, 5150, Balance, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge.
Gosh, I forget. Look at us. We're getting old. We can't remember.
Sammy.
But I mean, that was a really long turnaround answer for your question as far as answering. That was the last concert I've ever been to. So the reality is that.
Wait, 1984.
There you go.
It was going to kill me. Okay. I started to Google it and I stopped. So is anyone watching? I actually stopped.
All right, I give you credits for.
But 1984 is not Sammy. You threw me there.
Oh, well then I'm wrong, and maybe it was the first Sammy album.
Which was OU 812, which is their 4 or 5 faces, on their 4 faces, like their 4. It's not important. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, this is fun for me because I love their whole discography.
I'm Bobo. I'm lucky if I remember what
gummy bears
3 days ago. You know.
Hey, you make that joke enough, so I thought it was fair game to make that joke.
I used to play hockey. I wasn't that good. I'm sorry.
You make the gummy bear joke a lot, so I thought it'd be fair game to make that joke.
No,
just
please
sugar
do.
in there, right? Just sugar.
That probably has a side effect, you know. And also, I've had quite a few concussions from hockey.
But
obviously, I wasn't that good if I had that many.
But that's insane to have met and known Eddie like that, man. That's so cool. I mean, he was. Have you done any React with Van Halen?
No, it's really hard because
personal.
Maybe in a Throwback Thursday or Why This Makes Your Face Melt series that I do. You know, that's going back and listening to music that I've already have heard.
Okay.
There are, during that little period, Eddie's would sit down a little bit before he'd go, back to the golf course. It would be just a little lunch break. He'd come over, and when he gave me the guitar, he actually sat down and played it. It was the very first drop D guitar. I think it was a Music Man. I'm not too sure if it was the PV Music Man relationship at the time. And he sat down and he went in my studio, and I just plugged it into Mod, and he was playing, and he told me a couple fun things and stuff. And I asked him a couple great questions. I got that video. Actually, I got that video that's on my profile. It explains the whole thing. I don't want to go overly deep.
Okay.
Cool. It's on there. You just have to kind of troll through my profile. And, troll. That
yeah.
Thing now.
I'll start trolling you.
God, it didn't mean that when I was a kid. Trolling when I was a kid is when you cast it out of line with multiple hooks at a party. Maybe you get a girl. That's what it is. A surfer's probably. What are you doing tonight? Probably going troll. All right, But he did lay on to me a couple things that he had done and how he recorded this or what he did with this and But I made sure we didn't speak too much about music because I liked this. I liked the energy we were in. He's loving his golf and he's hanging out with my brother and stuff. I didn't want to all of a sudden start bending his ear about music and stuff. I was just I'm still holding one of his guitars going
right.
Thank you. And he gives me one of these big Dutch kisses too, and I'm like, that caught me off guard. But,
okay, I wasn't expecting that.
I've seen him do that though. He did that to Les Paul on stage, and he's that.
He
that
just
kind
seems
of
like
just
a genuine dude,
guy,
100%. And he is so freakishly good. I know I'm saying the obvious, but Van Halen was always a band for me where I grew up playing a lot of Van Halen songs with bands when I was, 12, 13, 14, and I think they're one of the most I don't think they're recognized for being a technical bands per se. Their sound is just, they found a way to just make technical music so mainstream sounding, where it just has the hook, it has the catches, but it's kind of sort of like Rush. I put Rush in that category where people love them that aren't necessarily musicians, and musicians love them for a whole different reason. For me, Van Halen was always, I think the connection between Alex on the drums and Eddie on guitar was so, the timing was so, you could never find the freaking one. It's like, but it was always like an eighth off or and it was weird. It was just, I feel like they were just brothers and had this connection where they just started jamming, and it was like, there's an upbeat here and a down, it's like, you as a band, you start to play like, oh, not only is it just crazy hard like Eddie's parts, then you take how crazy hard Alex's parts were, and then you put them together, and it's like getting them to actually be together was like exponentially harder than even just playing their individual parts alone. So they always just blew me away, and so I'll always have a place in my heart for Van Halen.
Well, sure. In my little video about it, I mentioned the fact that I did ask Eddie one question. And it was, what do you think makes, outside of your tapping and your technique, what do you think makes the band as functional, as powerful as it is? The first thing he said was, oh, it's the guys. I go, what? Oh, yeah, it's Michael and Alex. They make me sound great. He deferred. He automatically went straight to Michael
humility.
And Alex.
Yeah.
And he goes, if you really think about it, if you took away Michael and Alex and I did all this, it's nice. But without those two guys, it doesn't work. And he really sang the praises of Michael and Alex in a 10-second answer. And it was very, I was leaning into a question to ask, the Eddie Van Halen a question like that. And he just said, no. He goes, it's the band. It's, but you're right about the fact that they had the ability to have multiple hooks in their songs. Whether it was rhythmical by Eddie in the way he's playing a riff, or a series of chord changes with a picking motif, if you would, or if it's the unison or the drum and the bass kind of thing going on. Michael, to me, I'm a bass freak, even though I only play bass when I have to on jingles and stuff like that, or my own little dumb tracks. Michael to me was up there with that John Paul Jones kind of vibe with Zeppelin, as far as the implicated power of what they presented in the band and how they supported the band.
That's a high bar.
Not only that, but Michael, one of the super hooks about Van Halen is Michael's voice.
Oh yeah, that I don't know what that range is, but
he was all that.
Yeah, I don't.
He was all those high, those super, and he did it live, spot on. And Wolfie actually, while he was on tour with with Van Halen, he was able to cover those really super high notes.
I didn't know what that sound was until I saw them live. I thought it was just, I think it was on a 5150 album. I just thought it was some, some effect or some synthesizer that they just drove the frequency up 10 octaves or whatever. Then I saw, I think it was 5150. No, it was Live Without a Net. Live Without a Net in New Haven, Connecticut. They actually say New Haven, Connecticut, instead of New Haven, so that's why I just screwed that up. But and you see him in the, he's doing his thing and he's going up, and then he pulls away from the mic, and you heard it just attenuated quick. I was like, oh my god, that sound was him. So for me, it's just I never realized he could effectively get to that register and just hold it. And when they would do their harmonies, man, you're right. It was, and I think Eddie's answer was not only was as humble as hell, but there's something there. He's spot on with that. I mean, it was just a perfect.
Yeah, and just like
I was just gonna say, it was just a perfect marriage of just musicianship. It really was. It's like.
And that leads to what I was about to say: the perfect marriage of musicianship in these bands that I'm reacting to. Me as a composer, and then the listener in the whole of the art form of listening to a song, we can't imagine other parts in there, even though it does happen. Right. Somebody leaves the band, sometimes it gets better, sometimes it just kind of stales out, sometimes it stays the same and everything. But the Led Zeppelin, the Rush, the Van Halen band ensemble together, all is what makes it all happen. Yes, we can celebrate the musicianship of each one of them, but as a whole, that's what the band is, all four of them or five of them. Or in those cases, what's unique about the three bands that I just mentioned, they're all three musician bands. And then the singer. Well, in the case of Rush, it was three. And,
Rush still baffles the mind that they did that with three people. I mean, the Geddy could do those two roles that seamlessly. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and they were pretty cognizant about it. The one thing that I listen to when I listen to bands, when you hear a record versus performance on lives, is how well can they execute what they're recording on an album live. Yeah, and I think in all cases, that is something they think about in that, pre-production conversation, is let's not layer too much, because, if we get into a situation where, I'm only assuming, but if I was producing, like when I would back in the day, that would be the conversation, was like, well, let's not layer too much in there, because if you get a record deal and it's based on something that I did on a synth and it's a hook, you're going to have to reproduce it out there, and they kept everything, even though there are overdubs in Zeppelin. There are overdubs in Van Halen, and some of them are very simple. So in other words, there could be times where you hear a power chord being held out while someone's doing a solo. Well, you can't do that, right? But that's usually just tucked enough in the back where it's not something that is in your face and going, am I hearing two guitars? Three guitars? That's why you hear me sometimes, excuse me, when I'm breaking down on the channel, because it's a first-time listen, first-time reaction. I don't even look at the band. I just go click. I always say, I don't know if there's two guitars here, if there's actually doubling going on here, or if it's one guitar, and because there's, you have that ability to layer things, and I don't.
Yeah, you're right. You don't want to layer so much where you go live and it sounds like a completely different song, or the lead guitarist goes into the solo and it just drops off and it just gets so empty. Right. But that's what I love about.
Right, exactly. And that's something that you and I have that conversation with composers and stuff and all that. But to the pure listener, that's not something that is an obvious response to that. Yeah. Because the one thing that I feel with what I'm doing in this channel and the pure listener, I like to call them, is that a lot of times what we love, you and I and other musicians and composers and of the technical aspects, I have learned through some mentorships and some experiences that, raining like hell right now, is that
I'm not going to feel bad for you about the Hawaii weather, so don't even try. No one's going to feel bad for you about the Hawaii weather.
Right.
So. Oh, no, it's raining.
It was sunny a few minutes ago. Now it's pouring. Is that we don't really know what the listener is focusing in on. In general, we can't say that they're listening to the melody or all this work is going on and they're just keying into.
Right. They just feel it in their chest, regardless of that's it. Yeah. Right.
So on the assumption that is the pure listener's way of listening to things is how I've crafted, I guess I have to say it that way, how I've crafted and decided to do my first time listens and reactions and breakdowns was for them. And the musicians or anybody that wants the bigger ones, well, there are the other guys that'll do it, and you can get your theoretical heavy deep stuff over there. For me, like when I did the breakdown of Jeremy from Pearl Jam, I got a bunch of response going, I had no idea that the guitar player was doing that while Eddie hung that note out. Is that why? I go, well, I can't say that's why you get chicken skin there, but there is a musical reason that the chord changes happen a certain way, and then by the time he says today, and that note hangs out, and the guitar player resolves something from what is considered, a hanging second or a fourth or something, which I don't say, that could exude that emotion from you. Or when I talked about the strings in Comfortably Numb, and people go, I had no idea there were strings there. And I, with humility and being humble, go, yeah, there's strings there, and there's even a French horn there. But you don't know it. They just are going for the journey, and that's where I want to be very aware of, is not overly demystifying the journey.
You can make it too cerebral. You can, right? And I'm guilty of doing that in a lot of different things in my life. Like, hey, you're overthinking that. How about just take a step back and feel it, So, but again, it's the balance, and I think you've struck that balance. So,
and then occasionally I do get hammered for not listening to lyrics, and I understand that too, because I understand the relationship of a song to the fan is very personal. What's my favorite saying? The soundtrack of life. Yeah. As we grow older and stuff, and all of a sudden you hear a song, you go, oh my gosh, I was in high school and I was dating this great girl or this great guy, or I bought my first car, or I did this or I did that, or whatever the case is. It's a trigger
that memory's locked in,
which which was part of my business when I was writing music for commercials. And you sit down with a CD meeting, a creative director meeting and stuff, and saying, here's what we're going for. We need a whole lot of love sounding Led Zeppelin kind of vibe, because it's going to be for the baby boomers between this and this. It's a cognizant decision by the people who are marketing. How are we going to get these people hooked in there? Is visual and sonic.
Yep.
These are the only two sensories that you get with advertising, unless it's radio. So that soundtrack of life thing is a very real thing. And sometimes people can't hear a song because it reminds them of something very, very sad. Hence music therapy. Right? That whole movement of music therapy. But that's a whole different conversation. But with the channel, I don't know. I have no plan for its future. I don't have a goal of where I want to go as far as numbers. And I don't think I'm going to monetize my channel. I don't, and I'll tell you why. Even though everyone's seeing a crap ton of ads, I always say, what's my disclaimer? Right. Publishers do a copyright claim. I don't make any of the money. And that's how the record industry is making their money. And they get a little piece of, of those ads. But I think when people end up, they're so cool and they buy me the cup of coffee or something like that, at least it's a lot more of a personal contact with somebody. If you reach out and you want to drop me 50 cents or $1, some people have been extremely generous. I've been like, dude, is there a typo here?
Right. Is there an extra zero there, or you just?
Or you can move the decimal point back over one. What happened there? And that rarely happens. But I mean, when I get that, to me I like that it's personal. Well, it's nice because I can buy coffee, but I like that it's personal. Like ads and arbitrary. It's a disconnected thing. It's like I can't stop the ads from running. It'll never happen. And I may do something in the future where this guy actually did a logo for me. Wait till you see this. Is absolutely mental. It's so cool. But my agreement with him is that I'm only going to use it strictly for fundraising. For the stuff that I do with the kids, and I want to do in the future. If there is a goal set of this channel, and this is really important that I say this because it's who I am as an individual. If there is a goal for this channel, if it does generate, some money and stuff, I want it to go towards the kids. So I want this channel, in essence, to be the executive producer of an Abba Geebz mission. Fundraising, there's a lot of, the world is what it is right now. We're all hurting, and there's a lot of craziness going on. And fundraise, and being a ventriloquist and visiting kids in hospitals, that came to an end of coronavirus. That's my whole thing, is I go room to room, strictly room to room, with my healing dinosaurs back there, and I do these visits. I walk into a room, and regardless of the condition of the child, unless the parents say no or something, I'll go in and I give 3 to 5 minutes with one of my puppets, and that's all I want to do. That's truly my passion. Music now is just this great thing. I'm so blessed. Thank you so much. The universe allowed me to do this for a living. But with the kids, and then it's not just the kids too. Yes, I'm focusing on the kids, but the parents are in the room. A little bit of concern and stress. And can you imagine if you're a parent, and your child's going through long-term care and treatment and stuff? Because I visit. I don't go to emergency room type stuff. I go to ones that are, the kids are there for a while. And it's very unique. It's improv, if at the very least, because every room is different. The energy in every room is different. Yeah. And I say jokes that go over the kids' heads, and the parents get a laugh and a kick out of it, and the volunteers. And then I go out in the hall, go into another room, and then another doctor walks by and was like, "Whoa, I haven't seen a dinosaur in my hospital ever." And now I do a quick joke for them. They laugh. They get a little bit of a quick buzz, and I go into the next room. That is my high. Music, I'll do forever. I can do it. This is my job as a composer, but my passion is that. So truly, as this channel grows, I only see it as a vehicle to help me go further and further and further with the kids. I won't be able to go into hospitals for probably another year, because the mask and the ventriloquist thing doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's not gonna work, And I tried, the Sheldon Big Bang Theory roll me in with a laptop and Skyping, but you gotta be there, because I'm interacting with the kid. And sometimes, when you walk in and you see what you see, there's a few times I've walked in and they're in a lot of pain, but the parents want me to come in, and they don't want to take their medicine because it tastes like crap or something. So I work with the recreational therapist or the person there to help them take their medicine in a sorbet or something, and me and Wyatt will pretend to take the sorbet and try to be that person and stuff. So that is my passion. I want the channel to be the fuel for that, because eventually I'll be able to get back to the hospitals. And right before coronavirus, I was set to do a 100 hospital tour across the United States and Canada.
Really?
And I was partially funded already by a great ventriloquist who'd end up being a great mentor to me, a guy named Terry Fader. He's that ventriloquist in Vegas that did the singing. He won America's Got Talent, I think the second one. Yeah. And through family relations, I met him, and he was, okay, I'll get you going on the West Coast section. And then I was just going to go to each city. I'll drive to each city, and then maybe just do call to actions on social media. Okay, here I am in Ohio, and I'm heading to Indiana now, or I'm heading to, here we go. We'd all do this journey together, Unfortunately, I don't, we don't share anything that happens in the hospitals because privacy and everything. But that's what I want this channel to be. If what it is that I have to say enlightens your experience with music, I'm getting chicken skin right now saying it. I am so blessed and grateful and thankful that I'm able to do that. But if I want to get anything from it, well, sure, I'd like to buy me a cup of coffee and maybe I'm going to buy a new camera and maybe have a little fun with the money that comes in. But buying the new camera and having a little fun, the end result is going to be me buying a new background and doing more videos for the kids.
You're not buying a new sports car. I mean, that's just not. It's just not. Yeah.
I got a little truck. I got I got a bunch of surfboards. Surfboards, forget it. I got a surfboard for every condition, and I'm old now, so I don't go out in anything over 10 feet. But I got my surfboards. If that's my thing, and of course, a couple of guitars and ukuleles and whatever. But that's what I hope happens with this channel, and it's going in that direction. So I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to help, not help. I'm going to bring you a salad bar of things when I say what I say. You pick and choose what works for you, and have a nice day. I'm gonna go check the surf. I'll come back and do another one. And when people buy me a cup of coffee, I'm forever blessed. And some of the notes that I get from people when they buy me the coffee are so moving. Like I said, it's that personal thing.
Yeah.
So let YouTube make the money with the advertising. Let the publishers and the writers make the money with the advertising. We're all in the
Sure.
machine.
Yeah.
You know, without YouTube, none of us would be doing anything. Without technology, we wouldn't have these opportunities to do blogging, podcast shows, reactions and stuff. And I understand. I'm not going to sit there and say, they deserve to give us, you know, no, they don't. At any second, they can just turn the switch and say, you know what, we're not going to allow anybody to listen to music and do reaction videos because, a matter of fact, what happened to Chopa? My Abba Geebz YouTube channel, all of a sudden, views went down to almost nothing because of the federal mandate that YouTube finally had to address the what do you call them? Child molesting thingies, you know, all those people that do the ugly stuff. And they shut down the comments, they shut down the engagement aspects of it, they shut down the advertisement and cross promotion of all children's channels, called it Chopa or something. And then all of a sudden, all those people who are making a wonderful living on it got, it's over. Sorry. So we live in that environment when we share what we do on social media, and at any given day, they cut it. So I am grateful for it. Everyone's got to make a little.
Yeah, I mean,
money.
YouTube is the reason you have 100,000 people right now that know you and follow you. I mean, right? So
exactly.
I
and
mean,
I'm building
are
relationships.
they making billions? Well, yeah, but okay. Well, you know, if you're gonna maybe if you wanted to start the best video platform in the world, you make billions too. But those billions, their billions in profit are enabling you to get a mere 100,000 people to now pay attention to you and hopefully fund all your amazing endeavors with the children. So look at the big picture.
You nailed it. That's the whole thing.
Look at the big picture, right?
That's the whole thing. I'm very grateful to YouTube for it. I don't know anybody there. I'm not saying that I know them as a platform, like a statement of general. Yeah, I'm grateful for everything, but I don't know. And if I do monetize the channel, it'll only be for the live stream thing because I'm thinking of actually doing a live stream reacts.
Oh, okay.
So think about that. If I decide to say, okay, on Tuesday at 8 o'clock California time, we're going to do 3 songs. I'll be up for an hour, and you and I are together going to do reacts, and then I'll be able to stop more often. Because the people who are at the live one are going to want to go through that. You know, I'm a little concerned about comments and trolls and stuff like that. But the monetizing thing is apparently if you do get monetized, people can put in $5 or $8 or $10, and then your comment goes to the top, and and so a little money can come in, for what I do through that, but not to run ads and stuff.
I mean, look, I just, big picture personally, I think you're people nowadays want to say that money's bad and capitalism is all scary, and it's all BS. If your incentives and your moral compass is true, I would like you to be have 10 billion in your account because you're just going to do all the right stuff with it. So if that's what happens, God bless. Like, go for it. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid of money because just keep doing the right thing with it, and then it's all good. It makes the world a better place.
You sound like some of my friends and stuff because I've had quite a few of my friends saying in the past because of ideas I've had that I could have been a millionaire a few times over, and I'm a minimalist as an individual. I have a saying I live by: enough is as good as a feast.
Yeah. At what point do you need that excess?
When there's all that leftover, it's like, what am I going to do with this leftover food? I just, if you take it for the literal, the way I said it, what do I do with this food? It goes rotten, nothing happens. Okay, well then enough is as good as a feast, and let me give this food away to the, to people who need the food. It's the same thing with money. I went through the rinse cycle of money. I had a little bit of success in the 90s. And actually that success helped me get through, even through coronavirus, because, I put a couple quarters in a jar and, buried it under a walnut tree. Thank God I did, because it helped me through this process. But, I live in an attic right now over a garage.
Is that what you are right now?
And it's nice. It's cool. But, you can hear probably cars going by, and on my videos is because I'm literally 45 feet away from a highway where cars are going 45. But on this side is the beach. So when I balance that, I'm like, all right, God, it's noisy as crap here. But I can go ahead and just take a walk and, be able to chill, But as far as money for stuff, I'm already happy. I'm ready to go. I think that's part of even the way I am that 100%, you said early on in the video.
Exactly. You could tell.
It's just how I am. I don't care. I'm not in it for anything. I'm just I get a
But
complete
someone like you
buzz
would
by
not
the
be
comments.
corrupt with money. It just wouldn't corrupt you. So you would
No,
just
give it
keep giving
away,
more of
man.
away. You would be giving it away as fast as it'd be coming in. So
Why? We've just, there's a culture that's become obsessed with it, and that's we're not. Let's not get into that conversation. But just my own
yeah,
thing
yeah.
is that I don't have use for more. One of the things I taught my kids, and this is the only other saying I'll say, but I love it was good because it came at a time where they started going, well, they have $200 sneakers or they have that, and I sat them both down. Beautiful girls. They're not my DNA, but my wife's kids, and I had said, girls, just here's the thing. Being cool is free. Acting cool will cost you.
I like that. Yeah.
And I just let that ride. And they got that. They kind of understood, because I think that's what a lot of people kind of, that whole money and things and what it buys you. Not all. I have friends that are millionaires that love Ferraris, but give at least half of their money to nonprofit.
Right.
So they balance out with their loves, and they love a Ferrari, they go buy a Ferrari. They got a big house, but then they take a big chunk of money and they say, Geebz, I need you to help me distribute this through some nonprofits. Yeah, no problem. What do you need? And I'll do research with them and stuff. So what do you like? What do you play an
Drums,
instrument?
yeah, drummer.
Okay, so if you were to get, well, I don't know what the drum kits are now, but if you were to buy a $15,000 kit, that's because you love that, not because you want to invite people over to say, look at my $15,000 kit.
That'd be true for me. Yeah. I know other people that would literally do it for
know
the
what I'm
opposite
saying?
reason. But yeah. But there's all
Right, you know what I'm saying? So, but we are in social media. We're in a time where we, go and show and, the whole thing, and that'll never change. It's a streak in humanity that, well, a lot of your other podcasts, the people you talk to, that's addressing that. But yeah, I think I somehow weaved all your questions into that
so
last
you
one.
did it amazing. I'm looking. I'm like, you told a story through my question list. So well done, sir. Well,
Well, you sent it to me, so I figured, well,
you made it pretty easy.
I'm thinking in real time, going, oh yeah, he asked about that, so let me go.
Yeah. No,
this
you
direction.
made it easy for me. But yeah, I guess, Geebz, this was a lot of fun. You literally touched on everything, and I wish you the best. I'm going to share the crap out of this, and your channel. I mean, I'm a subscriber, obviously, and everyone I know is.
Yeah.
And so just keep doing what you're doing. Where can folks find you though? What's some? So I mean, I'll include the links in the show notes and all that. But
Yeah, I guess YouTube, I don't want something I'm experiencing right now. I went, oh, geez, I should have thought of this before it happened. Is that one of the videos I had put down, the Abba Geebz website, the Abba Geebz website and all that stuff that I put down in the comments, it's just so that when people, if they do decide to buy me a cup of coffee, they can click on it, in the description, just to see that I'm not BSing anybody. This is what I really do. But I would say just the YouTube channel's fine, because I opened up a Facebook page. I'm like, oh crap! Now that's two places where people are dropping all these suggestions.
Yeah.
That I'm trying, and that's the thing. I am that way. I'm a people pleaser, and when people sometimes say, "Man, this is 10 days in a row I've asked for," I'm like, oh, you have no idea.
I mean, you're big enough now. You can't please them all. Yeah, I mean.
And it's not about numbers. I've had some people say, well, he's doing Tool because it brings stuff. No, why is it about numbers? I don't care. I'm not making money. I'm not going for the fame. I don't care. It's not that. It's just my channel. I'm going to do, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do a Meshuggah song, and I'm also going to go back and now I'm going to do the Tool cover that he did with Zeppelin. I think it was No Quarter.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to celebrate the 100,000 thing. So I'm going to do,
No Quarter. Great. That's a good one. Good call.
Thing,
yeah.
But all of a sudden, though, I found myself going, should I do that? I haven't done one for you. And all of a sudden, my brain starts to think about producing a show instead of just saying, I'm reacting to this. So that's my own thing I got to watch.
You're going to hit that line. You're going to hit that line where you're like, okay, is it at some point, does it get too big where, okay, if I'm going to grow it now, maybe you need a couple people to help. And then you get in this kind of thing where, but then it gets away from the core, which made it successful in the first place. But you'll just follow your heart, and you'll figure out the right way to grow. But
yeah, I think because I'm not motivated by money, numbers, and stuff like that, it'll take its natural course. I do have the publisher that I've been writing for the last 30 years. he produced the Casey Kasem
Oh,
show
wow.
back
Yeah.
in the days and stuff. He's a friend. He doesn't know that I'm doing this yet. I wanted to drop this on him after I hit 100,000. I'm gonna go, hey Brandon, check this out. And I know he's gonna go, dude, let's. But I gotta be careful because I know that he may take it in a direction where all of a sudden I am playing to an audience of a sponsor and all that. And truly, that's why I don't monetize. I don't have any.
Well, a lot of podcasters don't they don't run ads, but they just ask, we use Patreon or whatever and say, well, if you really like what I'm doing, just give me some money, throw a few dollars in my Patreon account. And I think, is that how you get your coffee? You buy, is it Patreon or?
Coffee is Venmo and PayPal me.
Okay.
And the only bummer with that is, and it's such a bummer, Venmo is really super cool because after a few days, I'll get a couple cups of coffee. I can respond back right there. PayPal me, I don't have the ability on my cell phone to hit respond and send you a message. I gotta, in order for me to read the comments that people leave, which I love. Oh my God, Vinny, if you just read some of these comments, they're so sincere. I just sit there and go, God, I gotta take a breath after this. I mean, it's not like a sad story. It's just how what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're moving.
People happy.
I mean, people are gonna.
But in PayPal me, I don't have a way to respond. I'm like, oh wait, hit content and fat thumbs. Hit content, do this. Oh shit! I just shrank the browser. Now I got So but once again, technology. Thank you Venmo. Thank you PayPal for the ability of people. They just click and they drop in.
If people are coming to the table with even $1, then that means you're doing something for them. People's money is important. People,
I love it. I respect people's time, Vinny. If I can close on one thing, there isn't anything. I've based my life on time. How do we sell our time? That's the one thing we're never getting back. And I have a whole thing about that in a whole other Zen Geebz kind of a way. But because I respect people's time, the fact that people are listening to what I say, one, taking the time out of their lives, two, are getting something out of it, that's like, wow. Three, taking the time to buy me a cup of coffee and then leave a comment. That is so powerful to me because that's their time, not a 50 cents or $1 or 10 or $20. Sometimes I get some nice ones, like I said, but the fact that they take the time, to me, I'm like, it doesn't get any better. Thank you, universe and God, whichever God anybody wants to believe in. Thank you for that because time you don't get back. And I'm so grateful when people just, from the channel to the comment on the channel to possibly buy me a cup of coffee, that stream of time is amazing that people do that. And it's not because of me, and it's not because I want an adulation or is that the word? Somebody to say nice about me. I don't need that. I got 7 grandkids to say things about me. That's all I need. But that to me is so important. So that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are like, I don't get misty, but I get like, damn, this is.
You can. I won't judge you. You can cry.
No crying. I'm macho man. I'll take this knife and shove it up you. No. That's an idiot.
Geebz, thank you so much. This is fantastic. You're exactly the way I thought you'd be, and that's a compliment.
I'm so sorry.
That's a compliment. So,
thank you. Thank you very much, Vinny. I really
keep doing what you're doing, and don't be shy about raising money. You're doing the right thing with it. So, I mean, you'll figure all that out. I'm not the guy to ask how to do it at all, but I'm just generally speaking. I know I feel like you don't want it to get to that point, but I don't know. People are weird with money. You're going to do all the right stuff with it, and maybe you can somehow link your channel. I don't know. I don't want to give you stupid advice at this point, but because I haven't thought it. I want
you know what? Throw whatever you want at me. Email me.
Yeah,
email me the stuff. You got my email address.
Okay. Yeah.
But thank you very much, Vinny. I really appreciate. I am flattered that you took the time not only to do this, but we had gone back and forth in setting this up, and that's time to do it. And I'm just so
well. Just like you, this is for me. This
you think it was worthy of your 100%.
Time. And just like you, for me, this is a passion project. I don't monetize either. I love that freedom to just. That's why you're like, oh, I can't do this day, my date, whatever. Let's move it. It's like, no worries. Just move it. No big deal, right? It's relaxed and fun.
Thank you for that.
So.
Well, the funny thing is that you and I both move things because of our kids.
Yes. So I think our priorities are in order. I think that's what that means.
Yes.
Geebz, thank you so much. Key of Geebz, everyone. I'll have the links all in the show notes. Folks will subscribe. Hopefully get some more from me, and we'll go from there. All right. Bye, Jeeves.
All right, Vinny, take care.